Here's Jordan Peterson saying he opposes gay marriage because it's backed by cultural Marxists and represents an assault on traditional modes of being.
Another question voted up. 77 votes. Australia is holding a plebiscite on whether to legalize gay marriage. I'm against the Yes campaign, but only because it's backed by cultural Marxists. I'm curious to hear your views on gay marriage.
This motherfucker will justify anything to be like, oh, it's just cultural Marxism. By the way, cultural Marxism, and I've talked about this a million times over, is just the modernized version of saying cultural Bolshevism, which is the Nazi propaganda against Jews, for the record, that the idea that the Jews have taken over in the Frankfurt School all matter, all facets of academia, and are pumping out degenerate and anti-classical, hedonistic attitudes. Okay, that Judeo-Bolshevism or cultural Bolshevism is actively being pumped into the minds of our youth through schools, in the Frankfurt School, that is impacting people through art, and it's degenerate, and it is it's the same exact shit that conservatives cry about all the time: homosexuality in the media, or women showing their ass or whatever the fuck, twerking in the media. That's absolute bullshit. Cultural Marxism is a Frankfurt School-based take in academia, for crying out loud. Cry out loud as much as you want to, okay? But the conspiracy theory of cultural Marxism is just the modern version of cultural Bolshevism, which is a term widely used by the state-sponsored critics in Nazi Germany to denounce secularist, modernist, and progressive cultural movements. Okay? And cry about it out loud, but you are literally rehashing Nazi memes from World War II. Just because you grew up in America or you grew up in NA, where the right has universally adopted the newer version of that, does not change the reality that that is where this stems from. Jordan Peterson has routinely talked about it, by the way, as well. Here. The only difference is he doesn't say Jews are responsible for it. He just says that the left is responsible for it. That's it. Cultural Marxism is a far-right anti-Semitic conspiracy theory which claims that Western Marxism is the basis of continuing academic and intellectual efforts to subvert Western culture. Does that sound familiar to you? Through degeneracy, moral decay? The theory claims that an elite of Marxist theorists and Frankfurt School intellectuals are subverting Western society with a culture war, interesting, that undermines the Christian values of traditionalist conservatism and promotes the cultural liberal values of the 1960s counterculture and multiculturalism, progressive politics, and political correctness, misrepresented as identity politics created by critical theory. It is a contemporary revival of the Nazi propaganda term cultural Bolshevism. The conspiracy theory originated in the United States in the 1990s. While originally found only on the far-right political fringe, the term began to enter mainstream discourse in the 2010s and is now found globally. The conspiracy theory of a Marxist culture war is promoted by right-wing politicians, fundamentalist religious leaders like Jordan Peterson, political commentators like Jordan Peterson, in mainstream print and television media, and white supremacist terrorists. Scholarly analysis of the conspiracy theory has concluded that it has no basis in fact. Okay? Literally not true. That page was edited by cultural Marxists. Exactly, of course. That also is a Jewish conspiracy. Wikipedia, I mean. Oh, he was reading a comment by someone. Except only a fool who has never heard a single word uttered by Jordan Peterson would think that he is not about to agree with him. I've seen this video a million times over. Or only a fool would think that Jordan Peterson routinely does not say cultural Marxism is creating moral decay in Western society. Here he's...
Well, I would be against it too if it was backed by cultural Marxists, because...
Pre-watch, motherfucker. I mean, quite literally. I have seen this video a million times over. There you go, chatter. Was that effective for you? Did that help you understand a little bit further what Jordan Peterson's attitude is on cultural Marxism? I will take my L and go, damn, mixed up Marxist culturalism from Frankfurt schools, some U.S. conspiracy theories, my bad. I am a dummy from Eastern Europe.
Because it isn't clear to me that it will satisfy the ever-increasing, what would you call it, demand for an assault on traditional modes of being.
Why is homosexual marriage an assault on traditional modes of being? Why is an assault on traditional modes of being a bad thing? Why is it that, cultural Marxists are backing this effort and not just gay people that want to fucking marry each other? Also, I respect that chatter that said, I'm going to take the L and move on. These are questions that I would love to ask Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson is asked about same-sex adoption and responds, oh shit, this one's so loud. And responds, I believe very firmly the nuclear family is the smallest viable human unit, mother, father, child, and if you fragment it below, you end up paying.
We are considering kids. What are your thoughts about gay people raising children? I think the devil's in the details, to tell you the truth. If I was ever talking to any individuals about that, the question is, well, how would you raise them? I mean, you have problems, right? If you're both of the same sex, then you're going to have the problem of how to provide the proper model for, let's say you have a boy and a girl. We know.
Remember, this is a person who is supposed to be a well-read clinical psychologist. Right? Well read. It is the most destroyed by empirical evidence argument that he is currently adopting the other side on. Like, he is straight up completely bullshitting right now about same-sex couples running into issues. It is just simply untrue. The only difference is single-parent households versus two-parent households. Okay? And that difference could be reduced to disposable income and free time to be able to engage in childcare. Okay?
This is indisputable, and this is something I've talked to Warren Farrell about. Kids in intact heterosexual families where the father is present do way better on...
He added heterosexual into that conversation. That's not true. That's not true. Numerous studies have been conducted on this to see if there are actual... to see if there's any material differences between same-sex marriages and same-sex couples and like child development. None whatsoever. The only difference you can see is a single-parent household versus a two-parent household, and that difference usually can be reduced, like I said, to disposable income and availability of one parent to take care of a child in times of need. That's it.
Multiple indices than kids who are part of single-parent families. Now, that doesn't mean that...
See, look, the second part of that is true. But he added heterosexual to the first part because he's a disingenuous piece of shit. Okay?
Part of single-parent families. Now, that doesn't mean that there are no single parents who do a good job, right? That's not the same bloody claim. Those are different claims. But on average, not only do kids where fathers are present do better, but societies, or even local societies where there are more fathers present, do better, not only for the kids that they're fathering, but the kids in the neighborhood where there are lots of intact families with fathers do better. And so I believe quite firmly that the nuclear family is the smallest viable human unit.
He's not wrong about that, but he completely added heterosexual into it, and he added mother father into the nuclear family, which is made up, completely made up, and that is gross as fuck.
More sexual opportunity, but that isn't what happened.
This is one of my favorite Jordan Peterson takes.
See this happening in universities where women outnumber men. So the men hypothetically have more sexual opportunity, but that isn't what happens. What happens is that a small minority of men have all the sexual opportunity. A fairly large minority of men don't. The women are unhappy because they can't find a committed relationship. It's bad for most of the men, and the men who have all the sexual opportunity get cynical.
But isn't this in some ways against your whole idea of equality of outcome?
For the record, this is Joe Rogan owning Jordan Peterson.
Because you're talking about equality of sexual outcome now. If these men, if you have a guy like a LeBron,
homie straight up bodied Jordan Peterson's insane fucking worldview with his ape brain. Okay, I wish he still had moments like this. It's pretty sad that moments like that are just gone now. Especially moments like that will just never happen when it comes to COVID. He will just never, ever do that for COVID, no matter what happens. Very sad. Makes me sad.
James, that's a dominant basketball player that just kicks everyone's ass. This is a guy who succeeded at the highest level, right? Well, there's going to be people like that sexually. There's going to be people that are better at finding mates, and this is what they enjoy.
It's actually what does happen.
But what is wrong with that?
Well, what's wrong with it is that it destabilizes society. And
oh, so you are advocating for equality of outcome. That's cool. That, you know, he's advocating for equality of outcome in the sexual marketplace, which is incredibly complicated and totally about like interpersonal communication, relationships, the gray area, all this sort of stuff. When it comes to, I don't know, material equality, no place to be found, but it's the sexual marketplace where the government has to mandate you with a girlfriend. That's where that meme comes from in my chat, by the way. For those of you who are just tuning into my chat for the first time, you'll see like rules when you first click in. That's what that joke comes from. This is one of those jokes.
It's bad for children.
Right, you said that.
Yeah, but
what if they don't want to have children? But there's a lot of people that don't want to have children. There's a lot of people that choose to go their entire life without having children.
Also, there's no such thing as equality of outcome regardless. Marxists don't believe in equality of outcome. No one, that's not a real concept, okay? That is something that the right has said the left believes in, and maybe some dummies who don't understand the theory also advocate for that. But that's not a real concept. There will obviously always still be disparities, but those disparities should not change the reality that there should be equality of opportunity, actual equality of opportunity, which currently does not exist. And more importantly, there should be a base level of material equality afforded to every single working class individual who can find meaning in their lives on their own, because all of those other things have been taken care of by the collective. Okay? That's the entire purpose. Okay, I believe that we should have a base level of material equality afforded to everyone. If you need shelter, you have shelter. You have that taken care of. All of the hierarchy of needs that you have, the most important ones are taken care of. Okay, if you need it.
Children, there's men in their 30s. Some of my friends have vasectomies. They don't want children. So why would that help in any way, these involuntary celibates?
Well, I think you tilt the society so that it serves the interests of, well, that's a good question.
That moment when he says, I think you tilt society so it serves those who have less.
Oh no, I see.
To each their need, right? Or whatever it is.
To each from their ability, each according to their need. Oh shit!
Oh, that's a good question.
Oh my God, is that?
Again. Damn it! I should have thought about this before I went on tour.
Is that Michael Brooks?
For months to espouse it.
Let me.
Oh, Rest in peace, brother. R.I.P. to Michael Brooks. On the other person that's doing the voice is Michael Brooks, a good friend of mine who passed away. Rest in power. He was the man. Jordan Peterson actually believes a scientific explanation for why people have color vision and contain the Bible. I don't really care about that. Jordan Peterson became a living meme partly due to his deranged belief that human beings and lobsters have the same physical and, by extension, social properties. Here's the actual evolutionary biologist, P.Z. Myers, demolishing that pseudoscientific garbage.
Lobsters and people are the same. This is a sign that he is a loon.
And I use the lobster as an example because the lobster, we divulged from lobsters in evolutionary history about 350 million years ago, common ancestor.
No, that is ridiculous. 350 million years ago puts us in the early Carboniferous. Does he think lobsters evolved from sharks or sarcopterygians? There were diverse forms of both chordates and arthropods in the Carboniferous. The last common ancestor had to have long preceded this period. And it did. The best estimate of last common ancestor was that it lived deep in the Cryogenian, long before the Ediacaran, about 700 million years.
Dude, he's rolling him, but like in the most nerdy way possible, dude. Come on, be more entertaining. I just want to like poke him with a stick. Come on, dude.
Ago. Now, you might argue that this is just a pedantic detail, but this is coming from a guy who is an academic, who claims the facts matter, is trying to use evolution to prop up his theories. Do they or don't they? This is an egregious...
I love you, Hasan, but I'm not optimistic about you challenging Jordan Peterson in person. He's a slippery talker, and I don't want to see you get lost in the weeds. I don't give a shit, dude. You're fucking ridiculous. I love that, like, that take, one, is cowardly and idiotic, and you should know better. You have seen me fucking literally talk to professional political commentators and destroy them. So where the fuck is that coming from? Two, it's actually good that other people believe this. I want Jordan Peterson to believe that, so he will actually come on the show so we can talk to him. And three, you will probably hear that from certain communities that will now use that as a way to be like, that's going to be terrible. That's going to be terrible. Hasan will do a disservice to the movement, blah, 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 because, you know, they're jealous that they won't be able to do it. You know?
Error. You can't argue for evidence from evolution if you're going to be that wrong. There's also a deeper logical error. He's describing two extant species, lobsters and humans, and claiming that a behavioral property of lobsters was present in our last common ancestor and therefore is also present in us. That makes no sense. It's like claiming that I have a mustache, and therefore my great-grandfather had to have had a mustache, which means that my brother must also have a mustache. He has just picked a species that has a trait he wants to claim is universal, and extended it without good evidence. I can do the same thing. I'll pick a different arthropod, say bees. Then I'll point to a random vertebrate, say a bear.
Okay, he beated him, he bested him, but he also bested me. I'm dying of boredom. Classic Jordan Peterson moment. At the time he claimed he was unable to sleep for 25 days and faced impending doom. We talked about that already. He got fucked by apple cider. Jordan Peterson actually believes the Bible story about Adam and Eve. The snake and apple confirms the recent scientific hypothesis about human evolves to have high eyesight, and then repeats the false claim. Jordan Peterson versus Jordan Peterson. Don't care about that. This was really funny. This was a funny one.
Who is your favorite author?
Dostoevsky.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
She hit him with the name a woman. You know what's funny? That person, that British person, the BBC person, probably, I might be wrong, but isn't that person a TERF? So they probably agree now. Like, there's very... they're a BBC broadcaster. There's very high likelihood that that person is straight up a fucking turf. So now they're probably aligned. You know what I mean? What is this one? Who would be my favorite admirable woman?
Do I have a favorite feminist? I don't think of things that way. I'm not a favorite of ideologues. Do I have a favorite admirable woman?
My wife and my mother.
Who would be my favorite admirable woman?
Bro, just say any woman. Holy fuck, dude. That's crazy. I mean, it's pretty easy. Like, at least if you're a leftist, you can always hit the Rosa Luxemburg. You know what I mean? But even for like a dickhead like this, just say like Margaret Thatcher or something. I don't know. Fucking how?
Sorry, I often have a difficult
Rand.
time bringing names to mind. The woman who established nursing as a profession in Britain.
Florence Nightingale.
Yes. Florence Nightingale. It's like, good for Florence.
She thought at one point, I think men were unsuited to nursing because she had gender stereotypes. Shouldn't we be telling her off?
Well,
that's also such a funny take. We should be telling Florence Nightingale off is like my favorite. My favorite kind of attitude is saying we should be telling like shouldn't we be telling MLK off?
admirable woman.
Cancel Florence Nightingale.
Difficult time bringing names to mind. The woman who established nursing as a profession in Britain.
Florence Nightingale.
Yes.
Shouldn't we be telling her off?
Well, some men are unsuited to nursing and some aren't. So,
oh, this was pretty funny. He said he would assault someone for free speech. Here's a tweet of Jordan Peterson saying he would happily assault Pankaj for having written a critical piece about him. Jordan Peterson believes Frozen the Child movie is cultural Marxist propaganda. Hey, remember, boys. Remember, Jordan Peterson does not believe in cultural Bolshevism's like modernized version cultural Marxism, right?
In one of your lectures, you said the film Frozen was garbage. I don't think I said garbage. I think I said reprehensible propaganda, which I believe it was. Can you elaborate on your thoughts on the film? I can't because I haven't seen it recently enough to... the only thing I can say is that I left the film with the strong sense that it was produced for ideological reasons, and it was produced as a sort of anti-Sleeping Beauty, and I felt that was entirely inappropriate because it wasn't a genuine artistic attempt. It was an ideological statement.
It was just woke propaganda. Here's Jordan Peterson claims to have undeniable evidence of the existence of God. People stop smoking. Yes, really? Baffled by the fact that under capitalism, the working class is forced to sell its labor to survive. It's a miracle, a miracle.
I knew this guy. He'd been in a motorcycle accident and it really ruined him. And he was like a linesman, you know, working on the power. And he was working with someone who had Parkinson's disease. And they had complementary inadequacies. And so two of them could do the job of one person. And so they're out there fixing power lines in the freezing cold, despite the fact that one was 3/4 wrecked with a motorcycle accident and the other one...
Bro. He's talking about a society that does not adequately take care of its people, of its disabled workers, while simultaneously loving how awesome it is that these people who are like fucked up have to still work. They are so fucked up that it is hard for them to complete the work of one person, and yet they are still out in the fucking freezing cold. By the way, this is a classic that happened type story where it's not true. Like, it's just like, that's definitely a fucking fake ass story. But the fake story he chose to fucking tell is still one that is like horrifying. A normal human being with like a shred of empathy would hear this and go, this is psychotic. Those people should be pursuing other things that are not physical. Okay? They should be able to have fulfillment elsewhere. Society or a functioning, competent government should take care of those people. Okay? I'm disabled. Who trying to compliment my inadequacy? Capitalism is poggers because people with late-stage Parkinson's disease still have to do hard labor to survive in the cold.
One had Parkinson's. It's like That's how our civilization works. It's like there's all these ruined people out there. They've got problems like you can't believe. Off they go to work and do things they don't even like. And look, the lights are on.
I mean, this is yet another instance, like we're watching those fucking like get rich quick scammers describe how a fundamentally broken system works, but they say it with like a positive association. So you are left to believe that this is a positive thing, but because it's actually true, the thing that they're saying, if you have a shred of empathy, you hear that and you go, that's fucking psychotic. Okay? That's not good. That's bad. You described wage slavery and how people who are like fucking forced to do hard labor to keep your shitty fucking lights on when they themselves are in no position to be doing hard labor, but they are forced to do so. That's not a beautiful thing, dude.
My God, it's unbelievable. It's a miracle. It's a miracle.
Yeah, what a miracle that is, dude. Oh shit, hold on. I do want to watch this though. This is apparently exactly in the same light as that one.
Why don't you just try to work as hard as